Hey, guess what? I learned how to set the white balance on my camera. I'm so proud. Hopefully we won't have the yellow problem anymore, even indoors. Ain't technology grand? Anyway, today, Saturday morning, we're going to do a lot of work this weekend because it's raining outside and nothing I can think of better to do than work on a starship when it's raining outside. What we're going to do today is we're going to put a white highlights and then the blending coat on the saucers, both top and bottom. We also need to hit this spot. Still has a lot of the dark from the last time. We're going to take care of that. And while that's drying, we're going to do the whites and the highlights on the secondary hull and the nacelles. So let me get some pieces organized and I'll be right back. Hopefully there will not be the same problem with the compressor noise today, as I ran out to Harbor Freight, which is like I don't want to say porn for men, but it's just a wonderful place. It's a candy land you can get lost in. Quality comes and goes on some of the equipment that you get there, but they are unfortunately the only place, or fortunately, the only place locally where I could replace my compressor. Because if you noticed it from the last time, it was starting to go out, and it was one of those no maintenance compressors, which also means you can't fix it very easily. So went out and picked up a smaller compressor that hopefully will be quieter, and we'll get on with the getting on. Last time, as you recall, we used these two shapes, the first of the two sets of these two shapes, on the saucer as textured templates to do darker colors. Well, we're going to use them. We're going to use the other two of these that are provided to do the highlights. Those old ones have been out for a couple of days since I used them. They curled up once I got done painting on them, and they really aren't in the best of shape to try to use again. They were caked with paint, so that's why we have two pairs of them. Let's get to going. Some folks have been asking me how I get my paint mixes. I keep saying 70-30, 60-40, things like that. A lot of it, I gotta tell you, it's by eye. I don't measure things out, probably to my detriment. I don't measure mechanically with, pipettes and milliliter gauges and all that kind of stuff. I do what looks good to my eyeballs. Now here is, for example, the mix that I've been using. Hard to see down into there. This is the mixture that I've been using for all of my midtones. It is the famous 60-40. It's about 60% light gray and 40% reefer white. Here, by contrast, is 100% reefer white. To get my to get my lightest blending coat, I'm going to take what's left of this paint, since I'm pretty much done with it. There's no more medium grade that I need to spray anywhere, and I'm just going to add some more of the reefer white to it and use that up as my lighter coat. Any amount of reefer white that I add to this is going to lighten it up. Oh, excuse me. Any amount of reefer white that I add to this is going to lighten it. It can't help but work that way, because if I put a single drop of reefer white into this, it's going to be lighter than it is now. So what I'm going to do is add maybe a good pipette full of reefer white to this, and that's going to be my highlight color. Because there's still gray in here, it will never be pure reefer white. Pure reefer white is too white for me for this ship. It is traditionally been shown to be whiter than the classic Enterprise, which was more of a concrete gray. It is not as I don't think it was ever as white or as shiny as the refit, which was demonstrably white. You could see the white that's on the filming model. But since this was CGI and there was never a filming model of it to go as reference, I don't believe it was ever really pure white. So while I might have white highlights of this, that would be pure reefer white, the blending coat when I'm all done is going to be a shade that is between the mixture that I've been using and pure reefer white, if that makes any sense. So the first thing to do would be to make a pure reefer white set of highlights and then blend it back down with that. Okay, we've got our two template shapes. Shape 1, shape 2. We've got a mixture of, no, we don't have a mixture. We have pure reefer white in the airbrush, and we're ready to go. And we're going to go A, lightly. We're not going to plaster a lot of white in here. And B, we're also going to maybe be a little bit more careful of how we put things down than we did with the darker templates, only because I want the shapes to be sharper. So I want them to fit the profiles a lot, the contours of the hull a lot closer than I did when I was just doing the haphazard stuff on the secondary hull. I want these shapes to be more defined, so that means making sure they're tapped down and they're sticking to the hull a little bit more, and that I'm slower and more careful with my paint. So let's try this out. First thing I'm going to do is spray the back of the sticky side to knock down that adhesive a little bit. It also gives me a good idea of how my paint is flowing. Okay, set that aside and let that dry. And now I'm going to do the back of this one. Again, just to knock down the adhesive a little bit. I gotta tell you, I'm liking the new compressor so far. It's not nearly as noisy, and it's giving me a good even spray. Okay, so now that we've done that, we'll start with the top sticky side up. So let's get with spraying here. Let us spray. Dear brethren, let us spray. Nice and light. Well, you can see it's there. It may not show up on camera. It's very subtle, which is frankly what I was aiming for. See if I can make this a little more noticeable. Okay. Again, it may be tough to see, but it's there. I almost don't want to overspray just to prove a point, but yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm sorry that it's not showing up on camera. It's nice and subtle. It is. Let me see if I can point one out. Maybe you can see it better. There is a shape right here that is overlapping both sets of the Aztecs, that is giving me a third layer of paneling that is quite nice. It's giving me something that is in between the darker of the two colors, and it's lightening up the top color too. So I'm going to continue at this rate and then get back to you. Again, you've probably seen how this goes, so showing me spraying paint is about as exciting as watching paint dry. So oh, you had to have seen that one. I'm sorry, but that one was nice. But I'll do this and I'll get back to you. Okay, here's the top of the saucer. It's been, oh, I don't know, 10 minutes, and I just went around with white, with the reefer white, and I put the white highlights on, and I'm sure you can see them now because I'm seeing them on camera. They are like this one and this one and this one and another ring down here where you maybe can't see these ones. They are a little too bright, just like the other ones were a little too dark. The final blending coat will make a believer of you all. It is still a little bit contrasty here. I am going to do the white highlights because I've got the white in the airbrush on the rest of the saucer, and then I'm going to do the blending coat, and then I'm going to put it aside. I'll put blending coat, let that dry for a few hours, seal it in with a satin finish, and then I will put the fiber optics in. Okay, I'm on the verge of overworking the bottom, so I've decided to stop. Like I said, it's the hardest part to know is when you're done. You can see the white highlights. I strayed with this one. I may have to work that one out. I tried to keep stuff off of the blue ring. Still want to keep these areas and these areas semi-clean. I'm going to miss the whole thing, but that we're going to see if that works itself out or not. But at this point, it's pretty much done, except for the overall blending coat. Okay, the last two pieces we really haven't done much with or commented on are these Pylon pieces. Now, it's entirely possible that these will be redesigned in the next set because you really only need this much of it. You really don't need all of it. This was designed back at a time when I was planning on painting it a little bit differently. And like I said, since the first go round, there are quite a few things I have decided I would like to do differently. Including the sensor rings is one thing, and to do that I kind of need to remove some stuff and make room for it, the rings, in order to keep my price about the same. So I'm going to show you. I think what we're going to do is there's two sets of these right now. We maybe only need one set, and like I said, we maybe only need this much of it. So we are going to start with these and show you how they get used. You know, I started spraying this before I realized, hey, this needs to be on film. I'm doing the inside and the outside of the pylons, and I'm using those pieces. And all I did is plucked every little piece out of the center of them and laid it in shape, laid it in place there, and I'm spraying white through it. Now it's sticky side down here because it's the orange stuff, and it'll come up just fine. But that's the inside of that, and it is the outside of this. Let me zoom in. You can see the orange is applied there, and I am spraying through the holes, and that will leave the highlights. I'll take it off in a second and you'll see. And then I'll reposition them sticky side up on the opposite inside and outside of the pylons. And here's how they came out. I haven't put it on the other side yet, but that's after taking the template off. Now again, I'm still going to blend over top of that, but it gives you that distinctive zigzag pattern that is on the pylons. This area here, this big white area, that's going to be either painted light blue or it's hopefully going to be taken care of with some future decal. But I think we're going to end up painting those. But that's, again, way down the line. Good evening, or early evening. It's Enterprise Build Log number 11B, or part B of number 11. I have come back from taking a break this afternoon where I was letting I might as well just, there you go, get my smiling face. Part B, because I had put the white highlights on everything, and then I decided I needed to get out of the house for a while so that I would not be tempted of getting back on it before their time, because it's how I work. If I'm not stopped, I will rush through things, and I try not to do that. So everything has got white highlights on it. This, you can see the distinctive white highlights here. Very close to full reefer white on that. And now what I'm going to do is put the last unifying blending coat over everything. And then once that is done, this was the result of how those specially shaped turned out on the pylons. But everything is at the same level of being painted. That is, it's ready for the final blending coat And then, again, you remember these. I tried something here. I don't know how successful it was. They make this cover them over. These are where the lights shine out. So I was trying to do some faux painting to make it look like, you know, the paint was a little bit brighter there. Mixed success. I don't think I'm going to keep them, but I might just blend over that with the full blending coat. But everything is ready to go, so it's basically point and spray and try not to mess up. So it's not really anything that you're going to benefit from seeing. So I'll be right back with the results. Stay tuned. Okay, here we are, Enterprise Build B, number 11B and a half. I've got everything done and ready for fiber optics. I've done the blending coat. You'll see these colors are a lot less severe than they used to be. This is the blending coat over top of the white highlights. I did a tiny bit of silver highlights, but you have to see it in light to see them. Here's the top. I did knock down those faux lights a little bit. This is ready for it to be fiber opticized. There's the side. Now maybe on the pylons you can see some of that silver. Maybe. I've started running some fiber optics back here. I haven't put them up to a bulb yet, but you can see the strands sticking out. I painted on the mysterious blue shape on the belly because that decal was the biggest offender of what I called cartoon decals, because, well, the problem with them was they were backed in white, so you couldn't really paint under them and have the color pick up shadows from what was underneath, which is what any good decal should do, unless it's a lifeboat decal, in which case you want it to have a white background, or a number decal. You'd like maybe have that a white background. But here's some of those unique zigzag shapes that are on the pylons. And I painted in the blue upper these shapes because, again, that the decal they gave you was black for that, and there's been more than enough evidence to suggest they were blue. And if you can see them through all the mess, there are a couple hanging nacelles. Now I did go ahead and paint in those black shapes underneath. They are hanging and drying and drying and hanging as they are what to do. That is the final bit of this report until next time when we're on the operating table, and we will be adding fiber optics. And hopefully I plan to do that this evening, maybe a long evening, but I want to get as many of them ready and situated as possible so that I can 1 minute epoxy all of them in at the back for as many of them as possible. If anybody has got the ear of the nice people at Loctite, tell them, you know, if they were to be able to sell just these guys, just sell me a box of these, I would buy them in a heartbeat, because 2 of them, I'll go ahead and tell you, is not enough. I like using this Instant Mix 1 minute epoxy, and it's got the 2 ready mix spouts in it, but I don't use it half and half at a time. I use it a little spot here and a little spot there. And I've tried pouring it out, you know, siphoning it out and mixing it on a tray and doing that. It just doesn't work as well as when you use the ready mix tubes that it comes with. But I tell you, you can't use all of that with just those two tubes. You end up wasting some. So if I could find a way to buy a box of just those mixers, I would be happier than the proverbial pig. Okay, that looks a little bit better. We're entering new territory for me, which is fiber optics. This is not something I've always wanted to try. So this will be my first big experiment with it. What we have here is the saucer we all know and love, and first we got to talk about a little bit of planning. On the saucer there are three distinct blinkies. Three distinct things, lighting schemes that we need to handle. One of them is the famous double blink. The double blink lights, again, this is taken care of on the circuit board. We all saw the double blink LED earlier. I'm going to bundle that to some fiber optics that will come out here out of these holes to rather than run whole bulbs out of each window, out of each hole, which I thought would be too big and just out of scale. I thought this would be a good excuse to try doing some fiber optics. Now the fiber optics that get the double blink are, and I'm not going to mark not marking the top of the saucer, that would be silly. Double blink here, double blink. No, see what happens when you're not paying attention? Double blinks are this one back here, this one back here, and this one up front. Those are all the double blinks. The double blinks, I am going to use the 1 millimeter fiber optics, and all of this is from the fiber optics store. I recommend them highly. This is not a paid commercial. I ordered them and they came very quickly. Of course, they're coming from North Oaks, Minnesota. They came to North Carolina from Minnesota pretty darn quick, and they also gave me a nice little bonus pack. I guess they give this to everybody. They don't know who I am. Of other links to try out, which I'm looking forward to in the future. But I've heard good things from them. Other people I know and trust and respect swear by them, so I'm going to give them a try. Those are the double blinks in the top. The bottoms get double blink there, double blink there, double blink there, and back here. I don't think there's anything but double blinks on the bottom. Sorry, try to keep that at. Those are all double blinks. There is a single blink, a single strobe that comes up. This is, by the way, just taped in right now because I was holding it in place with this while I was painting. It's not been glued in, so let me go ahead and get rid of those. Make it easier to deal with. There's a single blink that comes up through here, through the top here, and that's also going to be handled with this 1 millimeter. I had even thought of using the straight bulb with that, but even that I thought would be too big. Just a single one up through there and attached to the single blinking bulb will be fine. There are also lights that will be on constantly. There are lights that will be on constantly, and those are the illumination lights. There are two here, and then there are two sets here and here. Sorry, two sets here and here. And those, I'm going to use a smaller diameter of fiber optic. I'm going to use the I'm going to use the 0.75. A little bit narrower, again, all from the same store. A little bit narrower, and I'll use those for the illumination spots. And then there are a series of lights that are on all of the time that are here, here, and then the four sides of the bottom part of the dish. I'm also going to use this is the 1.0. I'm going to use the 1.0 for those as well. So the theory is at least, to fish all of these through, give me enough slack off the top of them that I can bundle them together and jam them next to a light, but have them arranged in such a way that I can go ahead and start epoxying them into place with one swift go round of the epoxy, so that I'm not wasting the opportunity to use the infamous nozzle. And that's the goal. I will cut some links and I'll be back to show you what I've done. Okay, I think I'm ready to epoxy. I've got everything jammed up in front of me, trying to have everything staged so that I can make one bout of epoxying, do everything that I want to get done tonight. It's almost 10 o'clock. It's almost 11 o'clock. It's it's almost 11 o'clock. I have enough time to get these epoxied and set them aside and deal with them again tomorrow. I've got the top saucer here. I've got the lower planetary sensor ready here. Bridge BC, I don't know how many decks that is. The bridge section, the lower the lower half of the saucer is over here, and over here we have the secondary hull. I want to get these two epoxied. If this happens out of the range of the camera, I'm really quite sorry, but I'm not. It's 1 minute epoxy. I've got to get on and do it pretty quickly, so I won't have time to show you what all is being done. You'll just have to trust me that it's being done, and I'll come back with the results. Okay, ladies and germs, it was an intense 5 or so minutes. I used about half, making myself a liar, but I've got the fiber optics all epoxied in. I got fiber optics here. I've got the LED that's going to go back here to light up that little light behind the on the back of the spine. I've got double blinks. Those are in. Those are all epoxied in. The planetary sensors. These are all epoxied in, and they'll get trimmed off after everything is put in. The B and C decks, those were epoxied in. I don't know how well the saucer or the shuttle bay fiber optics were epoxied in, because that one had to go in upside down. Like I said, it was an intense few minutes. I made sure I got everything in that I needed to get in. It's not very neat. It's not very clean. I'm going to leave it the heck alone for the evening. Come back to it tomorrow. If nothing else, this project is going to teach me to be patient if it kills me. The old prayer of, Lord, give me patience and give it to me now. I will resist the temptation to do anything further with this, and I will pick it up tomorrow.